Hello and welcome to Favorite Rugby on Fair Sport. For today's 5 things learned from the second round of the 2023 Currie Cup. What a round it was. Cheetahs, Pumas setting the standard. Western Province with a terrific victory over the Bulls. Lions coming up short. Greek was getting a win over the Sharks. Griffins getting a rude awakening. Just another weekend of some pretty good rugby. Actually, despite all the negativity, we've actually had some enjoyable results in the first 2 weeks. And I'm hoping this will try and galvanize a little bit of support for what is really a fading and struggling Currie Cup campaign. But these are my 5 sort of takeaways. I want to know what your opinion is. Let me know what your takeaways are down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. And without any further ado, this is my number 1. Right, they're on top of the log. And yes, they haven't played the best, maybe the best teams in terms of the likes of the Pumas, for example. But I said in my sort of Currie Cup preview a couple of weeks ago that I think Cheetahs have to be the favourites. Given the resources, given the fact that, yes, they are playing in other competitions, but, you know, it's the EPCR Challenge Cup, so they've only got a couple more games going. So at the end of the day, they can still play majority of their best team for most of their campaign. They currently sit on top of the log based on points difference. Themselves and the Pumas, a pretty impressive start. But I do think at this stage that the Cheetahs do look like the early favourites, and the Pumas are very close second, though, let's be said. I suppose when all good things will come to an end, and the reason I say it is I think I watched this Pumas side against Lions on Friday. Now, yes, it's not the best Lions side. I'm a Lions fan, so I know it's not the best Lions side. There are lots of Pumas players that are too good to be playing for that union. Sounds harsh. This is maybe what Jimmy Stonehouse was kind of going on about when he said, you know, we need to be more respected, we need to be given more opportunities, we need to be given a better chance. There are lots of players there who could be playing for URC franchises. There are lots of players there who I think will back themselves to play at a high level. I watched that centre pairing of Ali Ngajima and Diego Paulus. Those two players could probably play for any union in the country, to be honest. I'm not saying they're going to start. I'm not going to say that, you know, Ngajima is going to go and bench Ryan Jansen van Rensburg, or he's going to go bench Damian Willemse. But, you know, I personally think those two players could both make it at the Lions. You know, I think that Diego Paulus looks like a really, really promising outside centre. You can also play on the wing. And I think that there are sides across the country that could use that sort of talent. I think they've got some very good forwards. And you look at the skill set and the handling of that side, I think there's a lot of players there that could definitely do a job. And unfortunately, the better they do, they go and win the Currie Cup once again. They're going to do it 2 years in a row. The URC side's going to come knocking. And why, as a player, would you say no to any of those players if you have any rugby ambition? You're not going to. Of course, you're going to say yes. So it's sad for them, but it's good to see that they are a genuine pipeline for SA rugby talent. And maybe that's a good thing to be celebrated. John Dobson loves the Currie Cup. He genuinely loves the Currie Cup, and he wants to win it. They can win it. There's no doubt about it. But we saw last year, and maybe even a bit this year with the likes of the Lions and Bulls, or the Bulls did play almost full string side against the Western Province, that it's very easy to get knocked out of the Currie Cup or to let slip whilst you focus on the URC, whilst you're now also having to focus on the Champions Cup and the Challenge Cup. Western Province want to win this Currie Cup. There's no doubt about it. In fact, I think that secretly in their minds, I think that they know that they are, you know, winning the URC back to back is a very tall ask, but winning the Currie Cup could be a very genuine goal. And I think that they are going to try and make sure that their teams are good enough to be competitive throughout the tournament and to try and give it a real crack in terms of trying to get to this final, get to semis, get to final, see if they can bring in some good players and see if they can try and, I wouldn't say sneak Currie Cup, but just try and keep themselves in the mix and then maybe sort of just mount a late charge and go forth and win it. Now, maybe this is me being overly optimistic, as the Lions sit 2 from none against the Western Province and the Pumas, which is 2 decent sides, to be fair. It was a decent Western Province side who are 2 from 2. It's a good Pumas side who hammered the Bulls, and the Lions actually put together a reasonable account of themselves. And I think that the Lions have taken a bit of a better approach. And there's 2 things. Now, first of all, last year, the Lions played the juniors, genuinely basically under 20, and said, go forth and play the Currie Cup. The Lions now are sort of now playing more fringe players, a couple of bigger names, as well as the juniors. Now, these juniors are now a year older. I think that they have grown a little bit. And I think that the Lions, you know, I wouldn't say they've got good depth at a URC level, but they've got a couple of decent players. And I think if they can get their squad rotation right, And also maybe realize that the URC top 8 is almost gone. The Currie Cup could be something we want to win. As a union, we're desperate for a little bit of success. And if you can't qualify for the top 8, throw all your cards at the Challenge Cup and throw your cards at the Currie Cup. It is definitely a case of us looking to try and be reasonably better in the Currie Cup because we haven't already named 2 stronger sides. And they weren't completely outplayed. In fact, they mounted a very nice comeback. Yes, there was an intercept try. Yes, there were a couple of good moments. But there's good players at the Lions, good young players. And I think if they really backed and give an opportunity, I'm not saying they're going to win it, but if they could just go win a couple of games, there's no reason why they can't keep themselves in that mix for that top 4. What's happening? What is happening is the question. The Bulls, none from 2, with a negative 56. The only reason they're not bottom is because they managed to find a bonus point, over the weekend. But they were absolutely hammered by the Pumas, and they were then well beaten by the Western Province. And they sit at the bottom of the log with 1 point from 2 games. Even the Lions have got themselves 3 losing bonus points and sit 2 points behind the Greek who have won a game. So it's difficult to understand what's going wrong because it's not like they've played 2 weak sides. This last week's side was basically a URC side. The side before had some really good players in it. It's not been a 3rd, 4th string Bulls side. And yet, a little bit like their URC team, they're just not getting the results. They're not putting in the performances. And I think there's something almost rotten in that union, or it's just something that's not right, and it's really affecting the players. And I don't know how they solve it. But at the moment, I think they must be in kind of crisis mode. They lose this weekend in the URC. They lose in the Currie Cup once again. They could be looking at non-Champions Cup rugby next season. They could be looking at not making the semi-finals for a competition they won back-to-back. And all of a sudden, heads might need to roll. There might be some serious questions asked within the unit as to just why it's not working for them. So those are sort of my takeaways. Obviously, it's very early in the competition, so difficult to say exactly how we see it all going. But for me, there are a couple of early worrying signs for a couple of unions, but some very big positives for others. Let me know what you thought about the round down in the comments below. Please do smash the like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. And thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen. I'll chat to you soon.